Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Kaba Ilco number 15995GC-04. This is a key and knob lever deadbolt replacement cylinder, and let's take a look at it. So the 15995 is a part number that would be meant to infer that we're dealing with a key and knob lever deadbolt, meaning this type of cylinder design, the construction, its dimensional properties, is a composite design, generic. It will work in many key and levers, in many knobs, and in many deadbolts. Not all. I've had clients ask me, will that fit in that lock? I have no idea. I've never tried it. It might, or it might with some small modification. I've had to modify tail pieces and whatnot in the past, but we don't know. But it's a safe bet if the cylinder that you are replacing looks like this composite type of design, that it is a good bet that it will, of course, work. The 15995 is a 6-pin, drilled 6-pin cylinder, pinned 5 is what it is. Solid brass plug, solid brass shell. Okay. Typical threaded cap sort of design on the back as well. Now the GC, that is Kaba Ilco code for meaning this cylinder will accept your RA, your RB, and your RC keyways. So this comes with an RA blank, or an RA cut key. But I would have to imagine if it's taking all three of those keyways that it would be a multiple broached cylinder plug would be my conclusion. Okay, that's what the GC means. The 04 in the part number means that the face of the cylinder plug is a satin brass finish. You can do that, or a satin chrome finish. Now, you will get two original Sargent look-alike style key blanks, 5-pin. You can run a 6-pin cylinder into this, but the keys will be 5-pin. If you wanted the same cylinder in a 6-pin, make that part number 15996. Then you'll get a 6-pin pinned 6 cylinder and a 6-pin length combinated bitted key as well. Yeah, this has to be a multiple broached plug in order for this to work. We'll see if we can study that a little bit better in a moment. Now, there are different tail pieces that are included with this. There's a retaining ring and then a plastic shim. So the plastic shim, you would install that back behind the cylinder. According to the manufacturer, they've had some people state that there's a small amount of movement of the cylinder in the knob or lever or deadbolt itself. So that small amount of plastic shim that's there apparently mitigates that issue. And the thickness of that item, 0.033, 0.033 thick. That's just meant to be a spacer. That retaining ring you'll use that when you are dealing with your lazy action tail pieces, which would be for the deadbolt. So let's look at those. A lazy action tail piece has this preparation in the bottom of it that will allow the key to go in. Okay, I've got that tail piece sit in there temporarily. I can move my key in the cylinder without forcing the tail piece to move. So that's the lazy action. Lazy action is defined in the function of a deadbolt where you need to be able to put the key in, turn it to throw the bolt, but then bring the key back to vertical without drawing that latch bolt back, or that deadbolt back, allowing you to remove the key. So that's lazy action. There are three different lazy action tail pieces. They're only different in size, short, medium, and long. And let me give you the length of each. The short unit is about 9/16, and that is marked DS. The medium length, which is marked DL, is about 15/16. The long unit, which is marked LM, that one is about 1 7/8 inches. Okay. For those lazy action, you will use this ring when you remove the threaded cap. Okay. You'll put the tailpiece through this. All of that will go through the end of the threaded cap. The cap will go back on and tighten. Now for the key and knob lever units, you have two preparations, these two bird's mouth type preparations, that will allow you to orient the tailpiece either vertically or horizontally. And you have to install that in the location of where that pin is. So tailpieces in knobs are horizontal, at least ones that I've seen. But if you notice the cylinder on a lever, they're vertical. Well, the reason it's vertical on the lever, it's still horizontal, but the reason it's vertical on the lever is because that cylinder goes in this way. So you have to put the tailpiece in vertically because it will end up being in the lock on its side, so it's horizontal. That preparation allows you to install those fixed tailpieces in either orientation. Again, 3 lengths. The short one is marked RS, and that overall length is about 11/16. The medium length, which is marked RM, that unit is about 15/16. The long unit, which is marked RL, the longest one, it's about 1 1/8. Okay. Now that exhausts all of the parts that are in the package. Let's switch to the screen view and take a closer look at the supporting documentation. Okay, so this is the item that we're looking at on camera. Extended description information down below. They state it's a 6-pin. The cylinder is drilled 6. RA through RC keyways, solid brass with a screw cap retainer, and is compatible with these types of locks. Not limited to these locks. Obviously clones and copies of grade 2 cylindrical lever and knob locks are probably going to work as well. I mean, all those clones and copies are copies of these locks to begin with. Okay, lots of deadbolts listed here. Okay, you're probably going to have great success installing these in lots of different locks. Broaching of what the cylinder plug is to look like, and I'll tell you, I don't have any. Yeah, it does appear as if our broached plug here is exactly this, where this has been all milled out over here and here. Okay, this ward that's here is certainly present in the cylinder. And I think what we'll do is when we switch to we'll leave this page open. Let's take a deeper dive on this. Let's go to the manufacturer's page, and that's going to allow us to look at a couple of things. First of all, let's look at the key blank catalog. And I don't know what key blank just yet they're using in this, but we'll discover that. Section 2 is this fuchsia colored section. And it's all alphabetical, and I just happened to stop at Sargent. So let's see if we can discover what Keyway, what their different keyways look like. Yeah. So I'm going to say that there's a 1007 RA key that's in here, and let's do this. Flip that broaching, or flip the catalog over on its side. Okay, and you'll see how they have the milling in the key blank. You've got a ward mill here, one here for the C, here and then here. It's a different profile, and then here and then here. But you'll notice that our plug is broached completely open there on both of those sides. Where we would require those wards to be present in the plug, they're simply not there. So these milled key blanks will pass into that multiple broached plug. Now I don't know that it's, I probably shouldn't use the term multiple broached, it's probably just broached this way, but it is broached in such a way that it will accept additional keyways. RA, RB, and RC will all pass through there. Okay. So that's the key blank catalog. Now the catalog I wanted to show you first really was the brass cylinder manual. If we did a find function on our keyboard for 15995, we will find that part number. It's 5-pin combination knob deadbolt. It is pinned, it is drilled 6. Most certainly is how this is. But if you want that 6-pin keyed, go with the 15996. And what we're doing here is we're dissecting our part number. So 15995. Then we have the GC, and we scroll down here and look at GC in our table. Right here, Sargent, RA through RC. Okay. Now they're not telling us what key blank they're using. They do here and here. Let's see if we can find, there's a table that's near the back of the catalog, and here it is. Okay, yeah, they just don't list it there, but I had guessed they were using the 1007 RA blank, and indeed they are, 1007 RA. And that chart is on page 20 of that manual. The point of showing this to you is if you needed more key blanks, that would be your key blank number that you'd order, and this would be the 6-pin version, 0100RA, 01007RA, the 6-pin version. So that's a really handy information to know there. Coming back up, GC. This is a 1. That just means it's a standard sort of collection of different tail pieces. The knob, deadbolt, lever tail pieces are in there. 26D, that, you know, or 04 satin brass in our example. And then the keying that would be done is afterwards. This client specified KD, so those locks are keyed differently, and that is all listed on the second page here. So a very handy reference to find those other key and knob type cylinders that are listed here. There are some specialty ones. These Sargents require a special cylinder, etc. Okay, but the 15995, 15996, extremely common. What's nice about the Kaba Ilco cylinders is that certainly they're made of solid brass, but they're also available in lots of keyways. And I will opt to use these keyways in many instances, especially those that I am able to use a Kaba Ilco product in lieu of a Corbin product. Kaba Ilco makes very good quality material, backed by excellent technical support, that's to be sure. So different keyways are listed here. And other items that are on the manufacturer's page, you will find documentation for key machines, other encyclopedic documentation for particular platforms of their hardware. Storefront hardware is here. There's probably some Gemini information here, their dimple system for Gemini. All the Kaba Ilco products we sell are listed in this horizontal navigation. I'll link to the manufacturer's website as well. Let's wrap up this video on camera. So if you have a typical lock and you need to run a Sargent keyway through it, this would be a very good option for you, RA or BRC. Why would you want the Kaba when you have a Sargent system? Well, for the reason that it's a very high quality cylinder that is very reasonably priced, and you may not be able to get a Sargent cylinder from Sargent for the lock you're putting this into, but again, you have a Sargent system in your application. You might have Schlage locks, and you've got a Sargent mortise lock on the front of this house that you just bought, and that Sargent lock has been there for 50 years. Well, you've realized that buying Sargent locks to match are hundreds of dollars each, and you go down to the local hardware store and you buy some Arrow locks, let's say, and then you can slap these cylinders generally into those Arrow locks and preserve the keying system, whatever it is. You might have, just simply the need to preserve the keying system. You want to reduce the quantity of keys on your key ring, and that's good. In most instances, it's very good, and in certain instances, it's not good to reduce the quantity of keys on your ring. But nonetheless, that would be a reason why you would use this. Plus, it's also pretty uncommon. Can't tell you if you're going to get an RA key duplicated at the local big box, hardware store sort of scenario. You might be ordering an unusual keyway just because you want to prevent someone from walking into that local hardware store and getting a key cut. Very common. Any questions on the Kaba Ilco 15995GC in an 04 finish, or any other Kaba Ilco product, please let us know. Speaking of the keying, before we wrap this up, I do want to mention we can do any keying really required on this. Single keyed, level 2, level 3, beyond. We can perform all that services. Obviously the factory can as well. Thank you very much.